Hello everyone, welcome to another lab. And today, right now, we'll be doing the lab number 7.4.1.2 Packet Tracer Skills Integration Challenge 7.4.1.2. So let's open up the lab. Chapter number 7.4.1.2 Skills Integration Challenge. And we're going to open our topology window as well as, let's see, teaching screen. Okay, now you can see the screen. Okay, here's the topology, and we'll also have our instruction window open right here. Okay, so here we can go now. Okay, this seems to be quite involving, quite inclusive a lab. We have devices here. Let's look at the instruction. Aceq is a router, has gigabit 00 and 01 interface. Those two interfaces are connected to our LAN, and then of course they have the serial interface, serial 000 and serial 001. So serial 000, and that is a private has a private IP 192.168. So that one, that must be the serial 000 that is connected to a branch router in our own company. On the other hand, serial 001 has a public IP that is connected to the internet. So this is serial 001 that is connected to the internet. I can see that this has a public IP 64.104.34.0 in that network. So 192.168, this is private. 172.16, those are all private. So this is all inside my company. And then this finally, this Aceq, this router connects me to the internet via my ISP. Okay. Then I have this branch router. So I have another router in my company called branch router. That one also has gigabit 00 and 01. They are connected to two of the LAN segments. So I have gigabit 00 and 01, one of those, not sure which one as of right now, but I could even find out by looking at this B2 172.16.128, and that will be still a little bit difficult, but we'll figure out later. And then of course the serial interface here, that is 192.168. So this one is the serial interface. So the Aceq is in a different location, branch is in a branch office, another location. Physically they are far away. That's why they are connected via serial interface. Okay, now understood that. Now there are computers, Aceq1 and Aceq2 and Aceq server. Yes, Aceq2 and Aceq server and Aceq1. Okay, these are all located in the Aceq location. Okay, all these switches and all those computers, 3 computers here. And then in the branch location, I also have the B1, branch 1 and B2 and branch server, these 3 computers. I can see that they're all here. Fine. Some of them I can see that IP addressing is missing, gigabit 00 and gigabit 01. These two interfaces, IP address is missing, subnet mask is missing. That means we need to calculate them. B1 is a computer with a NIC card, also missing the IP address, subnet mask and default gateway. We'll have to write those. Okay, let's see. In this challenge activity, you will finish the addressing scheme. So you got to do the addressing scheme to write those addresses. Configure routing and implement named access control lists. Okay, let's see. Requirements. Number A, divide 172.16.128.0.19 into 2 equal subnets for use on branch. So I can see on branch on this side 172.16.128.0 that is given to me 19-bit subnet mask. Prefix is 19. That means 19 ones are there. I got to divide into two separate segments in here. That's my first task is given to me. Okay, into two equal subnets. Okay, fine. Now then, once I do that, then assign the last usable address of the second subnet to the gigabit 00 interface. Gigabit 00 interface. So gigabit 00 interface right here, this interface is going to have the last usable address from the second subnet, and then assign the last usable address of the first subnet to gigabit 01. Okay, so I need to know those subnets first. So let's calculate the two subnets that I have to create from this address space that is given to us. Okay, and then we're gonna document the addressing in the addressing table, meaning we're gonna write down here and configure branch with appropriate addressing. Once we have the addressing done and documented, then we're going to assign those addresses to the appropriate interfaces. Okay, alrighty. So it's going to be quite a bit of calculation because it's 19-bit mask. So I have done a little bit Excel file for you to understand. So let me bring that up. So let's look at this Excel file. In the branch router, what is given to me is this 172.16.128.0 with 19-bit mask. That's my prefix. Okay, if you look at here, then you will understand that right here. Okay, this is what is given to us, 172.16.128.0 with 19-bit mask. That's what I have, 172.16.128.0 with 19-bit mask. What does the 19-bit, so let's convert this into binary just to understand. 172.16, here I have all this problem on the third and fourth octet, particular in the third octet because I have 19-bit mask. So original mask is 19-bit. Okay, so that is 19-bit right here. Original mask is 19-bit. Oopsie, I'm gonna not undo, I'm gonna save. Okay, so in this mask 19-bit means 19 ones. So type 11118, 1111 all the way, 8 plus 8 16, 17 18 19. So 19 ones are there because 19-bit mask. So that if I actually write it into decimal, then it's gonna be 255, and then this 1 2 3, that means this is 128 plus 64 is 192 plus 16 is 240. Okay, 224, sorry, 192 then 224. So this is going to be 224. If I convert this number into decimal, it's going to be 224, and then of course 0. That's my mask right now in decimal. Okay, so my new mask is going to be, why would be new mask? Because I need to divide this address space from this original mask. I need to divide this address space into two separate subnets. To do that, I am going to borrow one more network bit. I only had 3 ones here in the third subnet. That's what I'm going to operate. I'm going to borrow one more 1. So this 0 right here, this 0 becomes 1. Now I'm going to have 4 ones here, which means I'm going to have 20-bit mask now. Okay, so that's how we divide a network into two subnets. We borrow 1 bit. So this, remember, all these zeros were host bits and all the ones were network bits. So I borrowed 1 more bit as a network bit, so create more networks, more subnets. So I'm going to have less number of hosts on each subnet at this time. I explained all of those things for you in the chapter, in the CCNA 1. I hope that you have all those documentation, but I'm still explaining a little bit to make sure. So the new mask is going to be 1 more 1. Just remember that. Used to be 3 ones, 19-bit mask. Now in the third octet, not fourth, on the third octet, there will be now 4 ones, one more one added. That's it. That is the network bit that we added. So new mask will be 255, 255, 240, 0. Because if you convert this number into decimal, it's going to be 240. And how it goes is this: 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16. So that's going to be 240. Okay, good. I got the new mask. Now look at this new mask. That's what we need to look at before we can find out the two subnet addresses. What would be the network addresses of those two subnets? What will be their first host? What would be their last host? What would be their broadcast address? Let me find out all of those by looking at this one right here. So if you look at this here's how we do. Look at this new mask. What is the very last one? This is the very last one. That one is in what position? That one is in what position? That's the question. And how do we know the position? The first one is what? 128. Next second one is 64. Third will be 32. Fourth, right here. The last one is 16. It is in the 16 position. So 128, 64, 32, 16 is in the 16 position. So here is the deal. The last one is on the mask is on the 16 value position. So my magic number is 16. That's how we calculate things. Look at the very last one, it's on the 16. Each octet is different, new, separate. So I'm only thinking of this one octet on the third octet. So it's on 16. So magic number is 16. So the network will go up by 16, 16, 16 like that, each network, each subnet. So my first subnet of always, what is given to me? What is given to me is this: 172.16.128.0. That is the first one. That's going to be the first subnet. But now the prefix is no more 19. Now the prefix is going to be 20. Okay. So my first subnet is 172.16.128.0. That's exactly what was given to me. That's the first one. But the bit was 19. Now it's going to be 20. Okay. So I can even write down here like that: 20 bit mask. Okay. It's okay. I have it written. I don't want to confuse you. So that way, but it's 20 bit. Okay. I could type here maybe. No. I would say mask 20. Okay. So 20 mask on that one. So the 20 bit mask is this: 255, 255, 240. Good. What will be the broadcast address? I'm going to say that later. Okay. I'm saying that later, not to be confused yet. Okay. That's the first subnet. Okay. I'm going to write here, maybe just highlight it all the way, that much. Make it bold for you. So you got the first subnet. And then look at the second subnet. I need to look at the second subnet before I can come up with the broadcast address and all those. Second subnet is going to go up by 16. So first subnet was what? Right here was 128. So then second subnet would be add 16 to it. 128 plus 16 is 144. So that's the address for the second subnetwork, second segment. 172, 16, 144, then 0. Because I'm not adding in the last octet, I'm adding in the third octet here. So what will be the third subnet? They didn't ask us for a third subnet, but I'm going to do third subnet for a reason. So remember this: first subnet, second subnet, third subnet. They go up by 16. So 128 was what given to us. I'm repeating very much to help you out. 128, then plus 16 here, then plus 16 here. This will be the third subnet's address, which we don't need it. Okay. Now, once we know the subnet addresses, then it's easy for us to do the broadcast address. The broadcast address of this subnet will be the very last one. That means one before the second subnet. That's why I need the second subnet to know the broadcast address of the first subnet. Second subnet is 144.0. What is 1 minus 1 from there? 144 minus 1 would be 143. And the last of that is 255. 143 and then 255. If you add one more, then it becomes 256, which is not acceptable. So it's going to become 144 and then 0. So that's the one right here. So broadcast address is 172.16.143.255. That's the last address, which is the broadcast address. So the first host will be 128.1, of course, right here, 128.1. Last host would be 1 less than the broadcast address. Always remember the last host is 1 less than the broadcast address. That is 172.16.143.255. So it's going to be 254. That's my last host. So now I know in this network what is my very first IP and very last IP. Okay, and what is its broadcast, what is network IP. Okay, I got it all. And the subnet mask is 255.0. Same way I do the second subnet. Second subnet, the first, how do I find the broadcast? That's why I need the third subnet. Once I know the third subnet, then one less than that is my broadcast here. So 160 and 0, then minus 1 will be then 255 here and 159 here. Minus 1 is 160. 160 minus 1 is 159. And the very last one on that 159 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 255. That's my broadcast address. And now first host is one more than the network address. So 144.0, first host is 144.1. Last host again is 1 less than the broadcast. So broadcast is 159.255. So last host here is 159.254. So we got that. Okay, good. So having said that, now let's move on to the second. So I already did created 2 new subnets equal size. Here is what I did. First subnet, second subnet. So 2 new subnets I created. So I'm going to go step number 2. Assign the last usable address of the first subnet to gigabit 01 interface. So gigabit 01 interface, that's where I need to put the last usable address of the second subnet. So second subnet, last usable address is this one, 172.16.159.254. So that's gonna be on gigabit 00. So here is my gigabit 00. Okay, gigabit 00. I'm gonna have this address, 172.16.159.254, which I wrote again, 172.16.159.254. Okay, that's my gigabit 00. Okay, and then number 2, assign the last usable address of the first subnet to gigabit 01. So last of here, this one is going to be for gigabit 01, which I did, 172.16.143.254. I just copied from here right there, gigabit 01. So now I know gigabit 01, gigabit 00 addresses. Okay, and B1, they didn't talk about that yet. Okay, now document the addresses on the addressing table. So I'm going to go ahead and document it. That's when I created I copied this table like that to a Microsoft Word file, and then the Word file, so I can actually type it up, because here you cannot type. And I even tried to open the PDF file, instruction in PDF for this lab. Even there we couldn't type. So I actually opened up a Microsoft Word file. Okay, so branch gigabit 00, that is going to be this address. Okay, right here. Here's my gigabit 00, 172.16.159.254, that. And here's my subnet mask. And then gigabit 01 is 172.16.143.254. I just copied everything. So that is done. These are the 2 things I had to type up right here. Okay. Now, so I documented that. After documenting that, then I'm gonna do what? Configure branch with appropriate addressing. So I'm gonna go to the branch router and configure with this addressing. Okay, let me do that. I'm gonna go to the branch router. So go to the topology. Here is my branch. branch. I go to the privileged exec mode, enable, and I type config. First, I would like to just show what it looks like right now. Show IP interface brief. And it shows that gigabit 00 IP address unassigned, gigabit 01 IP address unassigned. So I'm going to go ahead and assign them. So I'm going to go to the config, global config mode, config T, and I'm going to say interface gigabit 0. Well, I'm going to just tab so you can see the G tab, interface 00. Okay, I'm in the interface gigabit 00. So let me have my Word file open. This is my address, 172.172.16. Okay, Control C. I'm going to copy that. Okay, it's actually better for me here to type it up easily. Okay, so I'm in that interface, IP address, and then 172.16. I could paste it too. Okay, and then I'm gonna have to write the subnet mask 255.240. 255, of course there's a space, then 255.255.240.0. okay, so press enter. So I assigned that IP address, and then the gigabit Ethernet 00, but its status was up and the line protocol was up. It was already made up, so I don't really have to do no shutdown command, but I'm gonna just do it anyway just to show you. No shutdown, enter, exit. So I exited from that interface. Now I'm going to go to the next interface, interface gigabit 0/1. On that interface, I'm going to also assign IP address. IP address, so here is my IP address for the gigabit 01, this one right here, 143.254. Control C, and here I cannot do control, I have to do the paste, click on it. Okay, space 240.240.0. I also assigned IP address. Now I'm gonna say no shutdown. I did not have to do that. Okay, in this case because it was already up. Okay, so I got that part done. So configure branch with appropriate addressing. I'm done with that. At this point I have 8 points. Fine. Now configure B1 with appropriate addressing using the first available address of the network to which it is attached. So B1 is attached to which interface? I need to check that. Okay, B1 is attached to which interface? Look at this, gigabit okay, let's see, attached. Okay, document the addressing in the addressing table. Okay, let's see. By looking at the IP address, I will know which one it belongs to. Let's look at the B2. B2 has also, I don't have to even open up. B2 is right here, 172.16.128.2, 128.1. These ones are right here. So which interface is this one? Normally, if I just put the mouse, then it shows already, but sometimes I cannot read it. I don't know why they are designing that way. We cannot read what interface it says. Okay, so another thing I could do is option, preferences, and always show port labels. I can click on that, then it's going to show this gigabit, but still I cannot read very well. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. So by looking at this IP addressing, I'll tell you that which one B1 belongs to. Let's see which one B2 belongs to. Okay, so by looking at this table, B2 is in .128, okay, and B .128, and the B2 is in 128. 128 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 and the B2 let's see, the server is also .128. So .128 would be the first one. The second one is 159 and the first one is 143. So 143, that one, if you look at the Excel file, which one is .128? .128, this one, first subnet. First subnet was .128. That is which one? Gigabit 01. So that means, by Excel file shows me better in here. Right? So B2 is .128 in that one. .128 is in gigabit 01. So B1 should be on the other one. B1 should be on this other one, which is the gigabit 00. B1 should be here. That's why I put the B1, but I need to use the first address. Its network address is 172.16.144.0. So what is the very first IP? First IP is 144.1. That was the first IP. Okay, so 144.1. So I wrote that down right here on the Word file. B1. This is what I wrote down. 144.1. Of course, subnet mask is 244.0, the same subnet mask, and the default gateway is the router's address 172.16.159.254. Okay, so right here 172.16.159.244. Its router's address is its default gateway. We know that. So here's my IP, here's my subnet mask, and here is the router's address is my default gateway. So here goes my B1. Okay, so this one I wrote it down right here. That's B1. So I'm done that also. So I'm going to go ahead and configure that B1 with that address. So here's my B1's address. So I'm going to go ahead and configure it. Where's my B1? Right here. Desktop, command prompt. Well, I'm going to go to the IP config, that one, and type that up. Here's the B1, 172.16. I can just copy and paste. Control C here, Control V, okay, and then 255, 255, 240, 240.0, and the default gateway B1 default gateway is right here. Control C, default gateway right here. That's it. I'm done. Okay, so B1 is done. So that part is done right here, and document that in the addressing table. So I went ahead and I documented it here, B1. Okay. Now next step. Right now I have 17 points so far. Okay, configure Aceq and branch with RIP version 2 routing according to the following criteria. So I'm gonna, between these two routers, Aceq and branch, between those two routers, by the way, it doesn't look as good. I'm gonna go to options, preference, and show port labels. I'm gonna uncheck that. Okay, no need for that. It's not helping us. It looks more clean now. Okay. So I'm going to go to this Aceq and branch, these both routers, and configure RIP protocol, router information protocol. So they will exchange routing tables with each other, routing information with each other. Okay, routing table entries. Advertise all three attached network. Do not advertise the link to the internet. Okay, I'm not going to advertise the link to the internet. Okay, and configure appropriate passive interfaces as passive interface. Okay, so what do all those things mean? On the RIP, if I configure on the Aceq, the RIP protocol, I'm going to say this is one network, gigabit 00. This is another network, gigabit 01, whatever the interface is. These two are the gigabits, and the red ones are serial. So I have how many networks connected to this Aceq? All these 4 hands, 4 interfaces, 4 separate network. But I'm not gonna advertise this one network that is connected to the internet. That network, it says you don't have to advertise. So I'm not going to add this particular network 64.104 to the RIP protocol. I'm going to only add this network 192.168, that one, 172.16.64, that one, and 172.16.0.0, that one. So all these three networks I'm going to add with the RIP protocol. For the branch computer, I'm going to also configure RIP, and here I'm going to add 172.16. Well, I actually, this one address space I actually did create new subnets, so I'm going to use those two subnets. One is the way I created here, those two subnetwork. Those two subnets. One subnet is right here, 172.16.128.0. Another is 172.16.144.0. Those two subnets I'm going to advertise. And of course this red serial one. So all three I'm going to advertise in RIP. So let's do that. Let's check how to do that. Okay. So let's go to the Aceq router first and configure the RIP. And also, what does it mean to configure appropriate interface as the passive interface? The interfaces that are not connected to any other router, for those interfaces, we don't have to advertise the RIP unnecessarily. Like this one interface on the red, the serial interface, I have another router here. So these two routers should advertise to each other. Okay, RIP chit chat, they're going to go on, they are going to advertise RIP routing table. However, with this interface like gigabit 00 or this interface gigabit 01, those or vice versa, we support the gigabit, whatever, that's irrelevant here. But these two interfaces, I don't have any more router, so there is no need to advertise RIP through this interface and through this gigabit interface. So these gigabit interfaces I'm going to advertise, I'm going to configure them as passive. I'm going to also advertise as the internet as a passive, because my own internal 172.192, those kind of private IP, I don't need to advertise via internet. So that's going to be a passive internet interface also. So my router is going to only advertise RIP via this one interface, and this router is going to advertise RIP via this one interface only. So again, now I'm going to summarize. RIP is going to have all networks added to it, but they are going to advertise only via the serial port, not through the gigabit ports. So let's see how to do that. Aceq. Aceq. Okay. I'm in the Aceq router. I'm going to configure RIP. CLI. Okay. Enable config T. Okay, I'm in the global config mode. I'm going to type router RIP. That's the command. Router RIP. Enter. I'm going to say version 2, ver tab 2. So because they asked me to do it RIP rip v2 version 2, so I did that. Okay, and it's always good to do no auto summary. That's a command we always should use with RIP. Otherwise, all the subnetwork that I have, all the segmentation that I have done, what RIP is going to do, they're going to add together all the subnets, and then RIP is not going to treat each of the subnets as a separate subnet. They're going to combine them together and say it's one network, just summarize it out. So we don't want to do that. They're going to make all those subnetworks, segmented networks, into class full network. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to say no auto summary, AUT, enter, no auto summary. Okay, I have done that. Now which network do I need to add for the Aceq? Let's check. Aceq has, as you see, 4 separate networks connected. This one is the internet. I don't need to advertise that one. So I'm going to advertise this one, 172.16.00. Okay, so I'm going to type network 172.16.0.0. Okay, I don't need to write the subnet mask. So enter. Next one, here 172.16.64.0. Okay, 64.0. Got that one. Another one, network this one 192.168.0.0. okay, 192.168.0.0. okay, these three networks I'm going to advertise. I'm not going to advertise the internet network. Okay, so that now which ones will be passive interface? All this information will be advertised which way? Only through this one serial port to the other router. There is no need to advertise this information via these gigabit ports or to the internet, because to the internet I don't want to advertise again my private network, private IPs. So I'm going to create them as passive interface. So these 2 gigabit will be passive interface, and this one serial port, serial 001 to the internet, that's going to be a passive interface. Okay, so I'm going to say passive, just PASS tab, passive interface, gigabit Ethernet 0/0. okay, and you can know if by looking at here, see Aceq, look, gigabit 0/0, and then 0/1, those things are there, and then serial 000, these three. The serial 001 is the one that is the internet. That one has to be passive. So only one that's going to be active is this serial port that is connected to my other router right here, this branch router, this link 192.168, that should be active, so that these two routers can advertise to each other. So gigabit 00, gigabit 01 should be passive, and serial 001 should be passive. Okay, again I'm gonna type passive, enter, passive interface gigabit 0/1, passive interface serial 0/0/0. okay, done. Oopsie, no, that's wrong. Serial 000, I need it to be active. It's connected. So I'm gonna type this command right here and go down, up arrow, left arrow key all the way, and I'm gonna type no. Okay, so no, but I need to do passive interface, this one right here, serial 001. So I'm gonna type passive interface serial 001, enter. Okay, now it's all good. So 3 passive interface are only serial 001, this one, and the 2 gigabit. 1 gigabit right here, another gigabit right here, and this serial. Only these 3 I need passive interface. Okay, done that. Let's do the same thing in the branch. So I'm in the branch router. Branch router, and enable branch. I have config T. Okay, I'm in the global config mode. So I'm going to type router RIP, ROUTER, router RIP. Again the same thing, version should be 2, version VER 2, version 2. Next would be advertise all the networks. Okay, I'm going to also say no auto summary, no AUT tab, no auto summary, enter. And then which networks do I need to add? Now that I need my Excel file, because this network address space 172.16.128.0/19 has been now subnetted into 2 separate networks. What are those? Let's add those. These are the ones. Okay, these are the 2 networks. The first subnet is this one, 172.16.128.0. 172.16.128.0. Enter. Oopsie, I didn't type the word network. Okay, so I'm gonna type it over again. I could actually do this. I could just go with the left arrow key and type the word network, 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 and then that. Then it's going to work. I've done that. Then another network would be this 144. Second subnet is 172.16.144.0, that one. So I'm going to type backspace 144.0. Those two networks are added. One more network that I have to add, that is this so these two networks, one here, gigabit 00, gigabit 01, those are added. Now the serial interface, I need to add that network too. That's 192.168.0.0. Okay, all three networks have been added. Now I'm going to configure the passive interfaces. For the branch, these two LAN interfaces where there's no more router this side, those two interfaces should be passive. Okay, so gigabit 00 and gigabit 01 should be passive. So I'm going to type PAS tab passive interface would be gigabit Ethernet 0/0. One more, 0/1. They are passive. They will not advertise router information. Okay. Now let's see what is in the instruction now. Okay, advertise all three. Okay, configure appropriate interfaces as passive. Okay. Now set a default route to HQ on HQ which directs traffic to serial 001 interface. Redistribute the route to branch. So on the HQ router, I'm going to create a static route, a default route. Okay, default route is a static route I'm going to create, and all the traffic is going to go out serial 001 interface, go out through serial 001 interface to go to the internet. So all the traffic that actually go out to the internet, there's only one way. My entire network in the branch, in everywhere, what is my way to go to the internet? There's only one way, this serial 001 interface. So that's why it's going to be the default route for all the unknown destinations. So I'm going to go to the HQ, that router, and I'm going to type that. Right now I'm still in the RIP mode, so RIP config mode, okay, router config mode. So I'm going to do exit out of there, EXIT. Okay, I'm in the global config mode. Now I'm going to add a manual entry, static entry to the routing table. I'm going to type IP route 0.0.0.0, wildcard, subnet mask 0.0.0.0. Okay, that means all network, every network that is unknown, every single destination that is not otherwise known will fall into this category, and it should go out through which serial 000 interface, S 0/0/0/1. No, not 0. 0/0/1. That's this one right here. Enter. Okay, got it. Now, so this router knows all the unknown routes, destinations, for all the unknown destinations where to send the package, send out this way to my ISP, to the internet. But the branch router does not know that yet. So I need to tell this HQ router, tell this router here that, hey, I got you the default route. Say this default route to your other router, which is the branch router. Say it to other routers. How do I say that? How do I configure that? I configure this way. So default router originate. So I'm going to type just DEF as default. Oh, that has to be in the RIP. That I have to do that in the RIP mode. So I'm going to again type router RIP. Okay, there. Now if I type just DEF tab, says default information. That's the command actually, default information. I need to use the word originate. Just type OR and tab. So default information originate, meaning this default route that I created you originate that information, meaning you send that information to other routers. So enter. Done that. Then I can exit out of that RIP mode again. Okay. So that is done. That is my step number D. Okay, redistribute the route to the branch. Now, I'm redistributing that information by that one command that I just did. Default information originate. Okay, that by that command. Number E, design a named access list. Named access list, its name should be Aceq server, to prevent any computer attached to the gigabit Ethernet 00 interface to the branch router, okay, of the branch router, okay, from accessing Aceq server.pka. Oh, okay. So here's the deal. We need to create an access list. Its name should be Aceq server, and it's going to prevent any computer that is attached to the branch router's gigabit 00 interface. That means that whole network, gigabit 00. If you look at this right here, okay, gigabit 00, that, okay, that interface, whatever network is connected to this interface, that one will be prevented from accessing Aceq server.pka. All other traffic is permitted. Configure the access list on the appropriate router, apply it to the appropriate interface and in the appropriate direction. Okay. Now, so which router is this Aceq server.pka located? Aceq server.pka right here. So that is on the Aceq server. So I need to configure that access list on that Aceq router and assign it into, let me tell you which interface. Right here, by reading that, I see gigabit 00, which is the lower number, gigabit 172.16.63. That is gigabit Ethernet 01. So gigabit Ethernet, this one is gigabit Ethernet 01 right here, because it's 16.0, this one is 16.64. So less than 64, they should be on this one, this hand. So that's why if you put the mouse here, you see gigabit 01 interface has 172.16.63. So 63 is on this side. That is my gigabit 01. So I'm going to assign that access list on the Aceq router on the gigabit 01 interface outbound. So it's go out this way. We're going to prevent it from here. Go here. Create that access list. So I'm in the global config mode. I need to create the access list. I'm going to type IP ACC access list standard. Just type st tab standard. What is the name? Name should be Aceq server. Right here, that's the name. Exactly, they are case sensitive. So I'm going to type Control C. I'm going to copy it and paste it here. Aceq server. IP access list standard Aceq server. You can type it up also. Enter. Now I am in the access list creation editing mode. So I'm creating the access list. So I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna prevent any computer attached to the branch router's gigabit Ethernet 00 interface. Okay. So branch router's gigabit 00. So branch router gigabit 00, this one. That is, which network is that? That is this network, 172.16.144.0. Again, I'm in the branch router. This is the branch router. I did all these two subnet that I created. The one subnet that is on gigabit 00, that one. What is the network address? This network address, 172.16.144.0. Okay. And what is the subnet mask on this one? Subnet mask is 255.255.240.0. Then what is the wildcard mask? For the access list, I have to create wildcard mask. How do I create wildcard mask? Look at this access list. The branch router gigabit 00 172.16.144.0. Yeah, that's the address. We just got it. That is on gigabit 00. But what is the subnet mask? Subnet mask is 255.255.240. Then what is the wildcard mask? Wildcard mask is 255 is here 0 and then 0, just the opposite. 15, 255. How did I get that number? Well, how do I find the wildcard mask? You subtract subnet mask from all 255s. So you write 255, 255, 255, all 255s. Then you subtract the subnet mask. Subnet mask is what? 240. So 255, 255, 240, that one, subnet mask. You subtract that. That's your wildcard mask. Becomes 0 here, subtracting 0, and then 15 and 255. Always remember that. Once you know the subnet mask, okay, all you have to do, subtract, I'm repeating, subtract the subnet mask from all 255s. That brings you the wildcard mask. And why do you need the wildcard mask? In order to create the access list. Access lists would be using the network address and the wildcard mask. So network address is 172.16.144.0 and the wildcard mask 0015.255. Okay. So now I can have this one on the side and type it here. Okay. Okay, maybe I can move a little bit more right here. Okay. Now I'm in the access list mode. I'm going to say deny. Deny who? Which network? That network, 172.16.144.0. 172.16.144.0. What is the wildcard mask? 0.0.15.255. Right here. Again, that's your wildcard mask. Okay, it's a wildcard mask right here. So that is what I'm going to deny. Okay, and then once I deny something, I got to also use permit all other traffic, right? Otherwise everybody is going to be denied. I'm denying this, and by default everything, all other traffic is denied anyway, unless I say permit all. Permit all. Oh no, permit any, not all. Any. If I do a question mark, yeah, any. So I'm gonna have to type permit any, A-N-Y. Okay, so I've done the, I created now the access list named Aceq server. Now I need to apply that one to the gigabit 01. Okay, I need to apply it onto the gigabit 01 interface of the Aceq. So I'm in the Aceq. So I'm gonna exit out of the access list mode. I'm in the global config mode. I need to go to the interface gigabit Ethernet 0/1. Now I'm in the right interface. On that interface, I need to apply the access list. So I'm going to type the access list here would be IP. I'm going to type IP access group. That's the command. ACC access group. And what is the name of it? Aceq server. Okay. So I can either type or I can actually copy it because it's case sensitive and everything. So copy from there, and I'm gonna paste it here. Paste. You don't do Control-C, Control-V here. Okay, and then it's gonna be outbound. OUT, out, outbound. Enter. That's it. I'm done with that. Okay. Exit of the interface. Okay. Now that's one thing I'm done with. And then what is the next? On the, okay, the last one, design another named access list called branch server. So I have to create another access list called branch server to prevent any computer attached to the gigabit 00 of the Aceq router. So the Aceq router gigabit 00 right here, this 127, this one is that 64, that one. Okay, 63 is the lower one. 0 to 63 would be right here, 0 0, and more than 64, that should be on this hand, okay, because this one start with 64 0. So this one is 127, so gigabit 0 0 should be this one, okay, ASQ router from accessing the branch server, okay. So I need to prevent this network 172.16.64.0, that network, from accessing what? From accessing the branch server. Here is the branch server. So I need to prevent it on, I need to apply it on this interface. Okay, what about the B2? That one, 128, the first gigabit 00, this one. On the gigabit 00 interface, I need to apply that access list. So let's create the access list first. Create an access list that is going to prevent all the traffic from here. So let's do that. Branch, I'm in the branch router. Enable mode, config T, and I'm going to type IP access list standard, and what is the name of it again? Branch server. I'm going to copy this one. Be sure to take no additional space when you're copying. Standard, paste. Okay, IP access list branch server. So I'm going to create that, and I'm going to press enter. Now I'm in the access list mode. I'm going to deny who? Deny this network right here, 172.16.64.0. Okay, and let me check my other one, access list branch server. See, 172.16.64.0, that one. Okay, I'm going to show you how to create the wildcard mask in here. Deny one, so this network right here, 172.16.64.0, 72.16.64.0. But what is the wildcard mask? See, it's 18-bit. There's 18-bit subnet mask. Let me show you how to calculate the wildcard mask. 18-bit subnet mask means what? 255, 192.0. That's the 18-bit. Okay, 18-bit subnet mask. Because 18-bit, you can see 18-bit mask. If you really want to know how it is, 18-bit mask is this: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So that's 16, 17, 18. Everything else is 0. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. That is the 18-bit mask. So that comes up to what? 255. All ones are 255. This would be 255, and this one 1 1, all the zeros. If you convert that into decimal, that's going to be 192, and then 0. That's your mask. Okay, in the decimal, that's your mask. So now that mask, you have to find out the wildcard mask, you have to subtract this one from all the 255s. So you're subtracting this 255, 255, 255, all 255s. Subtract from there, you subtract 255, 255, 192, 0. Then that's how you find a wildcard mask. 0, 0, 63, 255. That's how you find it. 0, 0, 63, 255. Okay, so that's the wild. So I have to do 0.0.63.255. That's my wildcard mask. Okay, deny that this network. Okay, so now after denying that network, what else do you have to do? You have to permit everybody else. Permit, PERMIT, permit any. Got to do that. Now that I have created the access list, I need to apply that access list into the right interface. I need to apply that on the branch server. I'm in the branch server, and which interface of the branch server do I need to access? Where is the branch server located? Right here. This interface right here is the gigabit 01, so that interface. So I'm gonna exit out of the I'm gonna exit out of the access list mode, exit access list config mode, and then go to the interface mode, interface gigabit 01, and then apply that access list. Now I'm going to type IP access group. Access lists are applied by this command, access group, IP access group. And what is the name of it? Branch server. So I'm going to copy that name and paste it here. Okay, branch server is inbound or outbound? It's on outbound traffic. So when on this interface, when traffic goes out towards the branch server, that's when they will be blocked. So outbound, enter. Okay, so looks like I have done that also. And at this time I do have the completion 60 out of 60. All the points I have gotten, so all good. Now design a named access list. I already have done it. Everything's done. That's it. You got 60 out of 60. So it was a pretty involved, pretty intensive lab. Many things are involved in here. Your IP addressing schemes and so many things are in here. So I hope that this lab helps you. I'm going to show you just very easily right here. So later on you can pause the video and look at this table. So here we did this gigabit 00 interface and 01 interface, that one we made up, and this B1 interface, this IP address and all those things we typed up. Also, one more time, the Excel file I showed you here how we have calculated the IP. Okay, I have done all of these things for you, and then finally I was able to come up with this subnet mask. Sorry, first subnet, second subnet, those addresses with the 20-bit mask. It was 19, got it 20, and then I also later on created the access list. I just wanted to show you one more time so you see all of those things in your screen, and that's how we did the access list. Okay, so I hope that this will be helpful for you, and I'll catch you another time. This was a long lab, so maybe tomorrow we're going to do more labs again. Okay, have a wonderful day, my friends.